Hey guys, this video is going to be a wizard guide for absolute new players to the game. We're going to go over the perks and skills, as well as the spells, types of gear you should be looking for, and what stats to prioritize, and finally some basic archetypes of effective builds to run as a wizard. Afterwards, we'll go through a couple of fights I had in duos and trios with commentary so you can hear my explanations for my decision-making process in the heat of PvP. There are chapters timestamped down below if you want to skip around. Firstly, I'd like to go over what wizard is good at and what it struggles with so you can know what to expect when playing this class for the first time. Wizard has some of, if not the most, burst damage potential in the game. They are the kings of the mid-range, and if you can keep your opponents in that sweet spot, you can defeat any class in the game in a straight-up 1v1. You are a glass cannon, however. You need to have proper positioning or you will get deleted by pretty much anyone in melee range. Wizard really shines in duos and trios, since having teammates to distract the enemy long enough for you to really lay out some damage can easily win you fights before they even really start. That being said, solo wizard is possible, but if you are brand new to the game and are mainly a solo player, I would recommend learning the game on a different class before jumping into wizard. It's a lot to manage when playing wizard, and learning the game as is more than enough to be focusing on at the start. So let's jump into the spells. Wizard spells, like most spells in the game, have a limited number of charges per spell before you need to recover them to cast more. You can recover them by resting, faster by resting at a campfire or using a clarity potion, or by using the wizard skill meditation. Having a higher knowledge stat will increase the rate at which you recover your spells. We'll start with Fireball, arguably Wizard's most powerful spell. This spell launches a large projectile that explodes on impact, dealing heavy direct damage and splash damage in a pretty large radius. It also has a knockback effect. This spell is best used when holding a doorway or a choke point when an enemy team is trying to push in, since you can damage multiple opponents with a single cast. You can also use it to break wooden doors to make an escape. Next is Zap, a mid-range hit scan spell that deals upfront damage and a small tick of burn damage afterwards. It's pretty quick to cast and can be used in between longer casts to keep up the DPS on a target, or to machine gun down a player trying to escape or close the gap. With a good kit, this spell is very strong. Magic Missile is a burst damage spell that launches up to 10 projectiles in a row, each of which has a small amount of tracking. It deals a lot of damage very quickly, but you must stand still to channel the full 10 missiles. You'll stop casting them as soon as you move. It's very good for stopping a player from jumping on you for a melee hit, since as long as you've damaged them a bit by then, they're gonna get melted by the missiles by the time they reach you if they try to commit. Ideally, you won't need to use this, however, and can dispatch enemies before they get that close. Mainly use this for taking down tankier AI, since it's much faster than meleeing as a wizard with such a low strength stat. Next is Ice Bolt, which shoots an icicle that deals heavy damage, especially if you land headshots. It also reduces the target's movement speed and attack speed by 20% for 1 second. Very solid spell. Explosion is another hit scan spell that if you land on a player, will place what is effectively a sticky bomb on them that explodes after 3 seconds. It also has a small area of effect that can be used to stall pushes. It can also be used to break down doors similar to Fireball. Lightning Strike is an area of effect spell that you place on the ground, and a second later damages anyone in the circle. It slows hit players by 20% for 1 second. Your last damaging spell is Chain Lightning. Albeit a bit situational, this hit scan spell bounces off your first target to up to 2 more, and deals very high damage. Next are your utility spells. First is Invisibility. This grants invisibility and a 5% movement speed bonus for 4 seconds. You can cast it on teammates to send them into a fight, or on yourself to make a getaway, or to juke your opponent. Do note that it's not a true invisibility, like a rogue's hide or an invisibility potion provides, since you leave behind an afterimage every 1.5 seconds or so, but you can use this to further confuse the enemy on which way you actually plan on moving. Haste grants 5% movement speed, 10% attack, and spellcasting speed for 8 seconds. It can be cast on teammates just like Invisibility. Slow is a hit scan spell that reduces the target's movement speed by a whopping 40% for 2.5 seconds. Very good for cutting out faster foes. Magic Lock can be used to lock doors, but they can still be destroyed by fireballs, Warlock's Hellfire, or a Barbarian with a Crush perk. The lock lasts for 10 seconds. Light Orb casts a slow-moving orb that breaks enemy rogues out of hide. It doesn't work on invisibility potions or Bard's Song of Shadow, however, but it can be useful just to illuminate your opponent, since unlike a thrown torch, the enemy can't pick it up. And finally Ignite, which can be cast on teammates as well as yourself, granting your weapons, both melee and ranged, extra magical damage on hit, plus a small amount of afterburn damage. The spell is really good on classes with high magical power, such as Warlocks or Clerics that want to go in for melee trade. Well, let's take a look at the perks and skills available to Wizard. When you make a fresh character, you only have 1 perk slot available, and every 5 levels you earn will unlock a new one, up to level 15. As a brand new Wizard, I would recommend taking Quick Chant as your first perk. You won't have any knowledge gear to increase your casting speed, so getting 15% for free is very nice. For your next perk, I would take Ice Mastery. This perk makes your ice bolts freeze enemies in place for half a second. It may not sound like much, but it will allow you to make some distance on them and allow you to get another spell off before they reach you. You can also use this to slow an enemy down while you or a teammate is chasing them, and chaining a bunch of these in a row is a surefire way to land a lot of damage on a single foe. Your next perk could be Ice Shield, which grants you some extra armor and slows anyone who melees you, allowing you to get away if you find yourself too close. It also slows their attack speed, making their follow-up hit on you less likely to land. This is a very strong perk. The final perk is sort of a matter of personal preference, and depending on the spell setup you choose, can definitely change. For a pure spellcaster build, they typically run Mana Surge for the extra magical damage, but you could take Sage for even more casting speed, or Arcane Mastery for fast invises and magic missiles. Spell Overload is also a contender. This perk just gives you extra charges of each of your spells, but I wouldn't use this perk unless I was stacking a lot of casting speed, since it reduces your knowledge stat by 20%, which can feel really bad to cast with at lower gear. For a simple 5-spell caster setup, I would run these spells with this combination of perks, starting from top left to bottom right as you unlock them. I would also take Meditation as your active skill, since it will minimize your downtime sitting on the floor to recover spells substantially, plus save you gold on campfires in the early game. For Squire gear, I would use the spellbook over the magic staff, since the casting animation is faster when you're releasing spells, and you're less likely to accidentally bonk your hand on a corner. Plus the movement speed penalty is way less, so I think the lower damage is more than worth the trade-off. I would rush completing the Alchemist quest, since that will unlock the Crystal Sword, which is by far Wizard's best melee option. Until you unlock it, however, I would just use the magic staff as a melee. Completing some Alchemist will also unlock a white grade spellbook. Now we're going to go over the very basics of generally what stats I like to prioritize on Wizard before we get into some more specific builds and what gear to look for. Typically I want to stack a decent amount of movement speed so that melee classes can't catch you easily. Getting at least 310 movement speed so that with your book out you're at 100% is usually what I aim for, but the more the better obviously. A good amount of knowledge is needed for casting speed. Try to land around at least 60%, but of course the more the better. Max health and magical power is what I focus on next. Will is the stat that increases your magical power. I want at least 125 max HP and around 40 to 60% magical power, but this will change depending on my gear level and budget, and of course the build. Once you've banked enough gold using your Squire Kit and want to spend some on a better build, I would simply try to level up your 5-spell setup with some nice pieces. An upgraded spellbook is obviously nice. This magical damage number is added to your spell's base damage before being multiplied to your magical power bonus, so each tier of spellbook greatly increases the damage that you're going to do. A blue spellbook is pretty cheap. Getting one with magical power, magical damage bonus, or max health are also really nice. For chest pieces, typically I would want a Mystic Vestments with max health, but these can be a bit pricey. Oracle robes are a lot cheaper and also pretty good for the knowledge, but they have twice the movement speed penalty. You always want to stack max health on your chest piece and your leggings if possible, since max health can roll the highest in these slots. For leggings, you either want leather trousers with max health for the knowledge, or loose trousers with max health for the movement speed. For shoes, occultist boots are your best option since they provide base will and knowledge. Boots are the only slot that can roll additional movement speed or move speed bonus, so get that where you can, as long as you can afford it. Lightfoot boots are also good since they have the highest base movement speed of any boots in the game, but you are missing out on the stats that the occultist boots provide. For headpieces, you really have two options as a wizard, either the wizard hat for more magical power, or the leather cap for more HP. At higher gear, I would run the leather cap over the wizard hat, since being just slightly less squishy can save you. The headpiece is the first slot that can roll additional or true magical damage, so always aim for that if possible. For your gloves, I would go for rawhide gloves for the knowledge, reinforced gloves with a knowledge roll for the HP, or leather gloves with a knowledge roll if you really need the will. For necklaces, you can go for phoenix chokers for the true damage, since this is the only way you can get more than one true damage in this slot. Usually I'd want one with a max HP roll, but this can get expensive. Another good option is a necklace of peace for more max health, again looking for one with true or additional magic damage. Your rings can be rings of vitality for health, quickness for the movement speed, resolve for more will, or wisdom for more knowledge. The choice is up to you, and typically I'd use these slots to help round out my kit and make up for what I'm lacking. The most important thing is getting that additional or true magical damage in these slots. Same goes for the cloak. As long as it has true or additional damage, it matters less what the base stat of the actual item is. Typically I'll go for Radiant for knowledge, or Splendid for the will. Adventurer for the agility, or Vigilant for the HP are also good options. If you want to run Overload, then it's probably a good idea to opt for knowledge bases like the leather chouses, since the perk is going to cut into your casting speed quite a bit. If you wanted to do a 10 spell setup, then these are the spells I would personally run, and I wouldn't take Overload. The gear for this setup would be pretty much the same. For a more melee-focused build, I've been running the Staff Mastery setup. My perks include Staff Mastery, of course, for more damage with the melee swing. This 2 damage scales with your magical power as well. Ice Shield to be more tanky and to slow my opponent's hits when we're in a melee fight. Fire Mastery for the extra damage and the anti-heal effect when using Ignite. This destroys Fighter's second wind, by the way. And Reactive Shield, so I can take even more damage in a straight-up left-click battle. I'm also running Arcane Shield since it's basically a free protection potion on a cooldown that does damage when broken. And this is my preferred spell setup. Since we don't have many damaging spells, we're also running a crossbow for the longer range engagements. Basically, I ignite myself, haste and viz, and then pop my arcane shield when I'm about to start swinging. For my gear, I'm basically just stacking max HP and physical damage reduction so that I can out DPS most people in melee. Of course, full true and additional magical damage, and just enough physical power bonus to not be super far into the negatives like Wizard usually is. Downsides to this build is that you're much slower than usual. Haste and Invis make up for this a little bit, and that we don't have super fast casting speed. Now I'm going to jump into some PvP clips with some commentary, so that you can see some of this stuff in action. If you have any questions about Wizard or any other class, please let me know down in the comments. I'll be happy to respond. So in this first clip, me and my duo are clearing out this module when we see another team enter the same room as us.
Guys, straight ahead north. Let's go kill him.
Barb. We identify one as a barbarian. My teammate calls out that he saw one down in the water next to a pillar. The rogue realizes he's out of position, so he sprints off to the left, and I let the fireball fly, splashing the ground near his feet. The barbarian rounds the corner, hoping to cover for his friend while he heals up, but I hit him with an ice bolt and he quickly regrets his decision. My duo chases after him, and the rogue comes at me. I hit him with a second fireball splash, followed up by an ice bolt, and he goes down. With the ice bolt damage on the barbarian, my fighter is able to clean him up. In this next clip, we're down in an inferno, and another team is looking to push us. I've already used a couple of fireballs trying to keep them from pushing into this door, so I go for a meditate to get them back. While we're doing so, we hear the wizard cast Invis, sending in his fighter. He gets one longsword poke on me while I'm standing up, but my ice armor perk allows me to get away. He momentarily turns his attention to my bard. I take this opportunity to charge up an ice bolt. I land the shot, and I keep him in a stun lock with ice mastery. He goes down, and our fighter has already sprinted past him to get on top of the wizard, and he takes him out. Their third teammate is a ranger, and he's gone for a flank. Realizing he's outnumbered, he turns around to make a run for it, and I hit him with 2 direct fireballs to take him out.
He's dead.
Good shit!
Bro, I did not miss a single ice bolt on that fighter. Holy shit.
Big.
This next clip is an example of why ice armor is such a good perk. I make some pretty critical errors in this fight, but the movement slow from ice armor allows me to get away where I otherwise would have died. My teammate takes out this fighter's wizard pretty early in the fight. Now all we have to do is kite this guy out with some range damage to finish him off.
Just range. I'm reloading.
I blow up the doors with fireballs so we can stay hot on his trail.
Freeze it. I'm going. Went down?
Yep. I'm going the other side.
Okay, perfect. It's coming up now.
I make my first critical mistake here where I think he's going to keep running, but he actually turns to fight me. He hits me once, but ice armor allows me to get away. I know my teammate is hot on his trail, so I figure he's going to turn around to try and fight him, but he actually throws a Francesca axe at me and slows me down, allowing him to get a follow-up hit. Without ice armor, I would have died right there. I keep running, and my teammate finally catches up.
Coming. I hit him once.
I have to heal. And finishes him off.
I killed him.
Nice.
He was just trying to parry me, and I just started stabbing his legs with my cast still on.
In this last clip, we're playing trios. We stumble upon a fight between 2 teams that's already started.
My
Fighter. The fight.
I'm gonna throw an earthquake in it. Oh, behind us, ranger. To the right.
Directed the fighter. Directed him again. Killed one. This other fighter is absolutely... After seeing the one fighter trade hits with the other one that I killed, and headshotting him with an ice bolt, I don't expect him to push back in after me, but he does. I'm gonna be dead here. Ice armor saves me again.
Want to earthquake this guy, James, that's chasing you?
This table did more for this fighter than either of his teammates. Can I get a kill?
Oh, yeah.
I'm chasing our ranger right now.
Coming. Opening the door.
He's cocked.
2 more got away.
He's dead.
Okay, nice.
Just need to cover
We go for a quick campfire reset before pushing back in to find the stragglers. It was chaotic.
It was.
I don't see anything.
Windlass.
Oh yeah, windlass fighter right here. As always, thank you very much for watching. If you want clarification on anything wizard or any other class, or just on the game in general, please leave a question down in the comments. I will be sure to respond. If you like this type of content, then make sure to drop a like. Maybe even subscribe if you're feeling crazy. Hopefully this was helpful. See you in the next one. I think he's the only one, Schmied. Nice bolted. Nice bolted again.
You make my earthquake.
Oh my god. Cooked.
Good, good, good. Good splash. Good splash. Oh! Oh, good, good. Zap him. Ice bolt. He stuck you, he stuck you. Oh! Close! Holy shit!
Dude, explosion fucks now. Holy.